The message came through space like a scream in the dark. Captain Yunde sat in his command chair aboard the Federation cruiser Harmony's Edge, watching the communication officer's face turn pale as she listened to the transmission. "Sir, you need to hear this," she said, her voice shaking. The bridge fell silent as the message played. Static filled the air, broken by desperate voices speaking in the musical language of the Villani people. Even through the interference, everyone could hear the terror. "This is Elder Colmarin of the Villani colony on Kepler 442b. We are under attack. Unknown ships arrived 3 days ago. They are hunting us, taking our people. We have no weapons, no way to fight back. Please, anyone who receives this message, we need help. They are killing us for sport." The transmission cut to static, then silenced. Yunde had been a ship captain for 20 years. He had seen wars, disasters, and the worst the galaxy could offer, but something about this message made his blood run cold. The Villani were known throughout the Federation as peaceful healers and philosophers. They had never hurt anyone. "Can we reach them?" he asked. The communications officer shook her head. "No, sir, the signal is too weak, and it's getting weaker. This message is at least 4 days old by the time it reached us." Yunde stood up and walked to the main screen. The stars looked the same as always, but now he knew that somewhere out there, innocent people were dying. "Send this message to Federation Command immediately," he ordered. "Mark it as urgent." 3 hours later, the response came back. Federation Command was already aware of the situation. Similar distress calls had been received by 12 other ships across 3 sectors. The Villani colony was definitely under attack, but no one knew who was responsible. Within 6 hours, Yunde received new orders. He was to proceed to the nearest Federation base and join an emergency council meeting. Representatives from across the galaxy were gathering to discuss the crisis. The Federation base at Proxima Station buzzed with activity when Yunde arrived. Ships from dozens of worlds filled the docking bays. In the main council chamber, hundreds of beings from different species sat in worried groups. Commander Veltar of the Centauri Republic stood at the center podium. His blue skin looked almost gray with stress. "We have confirmed the worst," he announced. "The Villani colony on Kepler 442b has been invaded by the Kreth Dominion." A wave of shocked whispers filled the room. Yunde felt his stomach drop. Everyone had heard stories about the Kreth, but most people hoped they were just myths. "For those unfamiliar with this species," Veltar continued, "the Kreth are savage hunters. They do not conquer worlds for resources or territory. They hunt other intelligent species for food and sport. They use the bones of their victims to make tools and decorations." An Andromedian delegate raised her hand. "How many Kreth ships are we dealing with?" "Our long-range sensors detected at least 30 vessels," Veltar replied. "All military class. This is a full hunting expedition." "What about the Villani?" asked a delegate from the Vega system. "How many survivors?" Veltar's silence said everything. The debate that followed lasted for hours. The Federation had military forces, but they were spread across 17 active conflicts. Every available ship was already committed to other missions. Even if they could gather a rescue force, it would take weeks to reach Kepler 442b. "By then, there will be nothing left to rescue," Admiral Korvash stated grimly. That's when Ambassador Linari spoke, up from the back of the room. She was small compared to most of the other delegates, her black hair tied back in a simple style. Earth had only joined the Federation 5 years ago, so many beings still didn't know much about humans. "Earth can help," she said quietly. The room turned to look at her. Commander Veltar seemed confused. "Ambassador Lee, we appreciate the offer, but this is a military situation. Earth's medical ships and humanitarian aid would be valuable, but we need combat vessels." Linari stood up slowly. "Commander, you misunderstand. We're not offering medical aid. We're offering to handle the Kreth." A few delegates laughed. Earth was still seen as a primitive world by many Federation members. Humans had only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. Their military was small and used simple weapons. Compared to other Federation forces, How many ships can Earth commit? Asked Admiral Corvash. One ship, Linari replied. The laughter grew louder. One ship against 30 Kreth vessels seemed like a joke. Ambassador, Veltar said patiently, perhaps you don't understand the situation. The Kreth Dominion has never been defeated in combat. They have destroyed entire civilizations. One human ship cannot possibly make a difference. Linari smiled, but it was not a happy expression. Commander, perhaps you don't understand humans. We're not sending a warship. We're sending specialists. She activated her communication device and spoke in clear English. This is Ambassador. Linari requesting immediate connection to General Park Haen-Woo at Earth Military Command. The connection took only seconds. A man's voice came through the speakers, speaking in English before switching to Federation Standard. General Park here. I've been monitoring the situation, Ambassador. Is the Federation requesting assistance? Yes, General. The Kreth Dominion has attacked the Vellani colony. 30 ships, full hunting expedition. The Federation cannot respond in time. There was a brief pause. Understood. How long until the Kreth finish their hunt? Commander Veltar stepped forward. General Park, our estimates suggest the Vellani have perhaps 1 week before total extermination. Another pause. We can have a team on site in 4 days. A team? Admiral Corvash interrupted. General, we need military vessels, not a team. General Park's voice became colder. Admiral, you asked for Earth's help. We're giving it to you. Our team will handle the Kreth. How many soldiers are you sending? Veltar asked. 4. The silence that followed was complete. 4 humans against. Thousands of Kreth warriors seemed impossible. General, Veltar said carefully, perhaps you don't understand the scope of this threat. Commander, General Park replied, perhaps you don't understand humans. We'll have our people there in 4 days. The Kreth won't be a problem after that. The connection ended. Leaving the council chamber in shocked silence, Ambassador Linari gathered her materials and prepared to leave. As she walked toward the exit, Commander Veltar called after her. Ambassador, surely Earth is sending more than 4 people? She turned back to face the assembled delegates. Commander, you called for help because the Kreth are killers. Earth is sending people who are very, very good at killing. 4 is more than enough. As she left the chamber, the delegates sat in stunned silence. Most of them were thinking the same thing. Either the humans were completely insane, or they knew something about warfare that the rest of the galaxy had forgotten. 3 systems away, General Park Haen-Woo was already making calls. The 4 people he needed were scattered across Earth, but they would come when called. They always did. The Kreth Dominion had made their first mistake. They had attacked someone under Federation protection. Now they were about to learn why Earth's application to join the Federation had been approved so quickly. Despite their primitive technology, the galaxy was about to discover what humans meant. When they said they were sending specialists, General Park Haen-Woo stood in the secure briefing room deep beneath Seoul, waiting for his 4 specialists to arrive. The room had no windows, just gray walls and a large table with 4 chairs. Most military commanders would have called for hundreds of soldiers. Park knew better. The first to arrive was Kim Tae-oh. He entered without making a sound, his footsteps silent even on the metal floor. Kim was average height with dark eyes that seemed to see everything. He wore simple black clothes and moved like a shadow. Park had known Kim for 8 years, ever. Since the man had walked across the border from North Korea with 3 bullet wounds and a story that made seasoned intelligence. Officers sick. Kim's family had been executed for disloyalty to the state. His wife, his 2 young children, shot in front of him before he was thrown into a prison camp. Kim had escaped after 2 years, killing 11 guards in the process. He had spent the next 5 years hunting down everyone responsible for his family's death. When the South Korean government found him, he had eliminated 47 people with methods that impressed even their best operatives. General, Kim said, taking a seat. His voice was quiet, almost gentle. People who didn't know better thought he looked harmless. The second person to enter was Choi Minna, and she brought the smell of rain and jungle mud with her. She had just returned from Brazil, where she had been tracking a cartel boss through the Amazon rainforest. Mina was smaller than Kim, with short hair and scars on her hands from a dozen different missions. She could kill a man with a pencil, a tree branch, or her bare hands. More importantly, she could track anything that left footprints. Min-a had grown up in the slums of Bizen, where she learned that sometimes the only way to stay alive was to be more dangerous than everyone else. The Korean military had found her after she single-handedly eliminated a human trafficking ring that had been operating for years. She had hunted them for 6 months, learning their habits, their fears, their weaknesses. When she struck, none of them saw her coming. "General Park," she said, nodding as she sat down. "I heard we have a hunting job?" The third specialist arrived exactly on time. Bae Junki looked like a doctor, which he was. He also looked kind, which he could be. What most people didn't know was that Bae had served as a medic in Afghanistan, then later in the Syrian conflict. He had saved hundreds of lives in impossible conditions. He had also learned that sometimes, to save good people, you had to kill bad people very efficiently. Bae understood human anatomy better than most surgeons. He knew exactly where to apply pressure to stop a heart, which nerves to cut to cause instant paralysis, how long someone could survive various types of wounds. His medical knowledge made him one of the most dangerous people on Earth. "General," Bae said pleasantly, setting down his medical bag. "I brought extra supplies in case we need to keep anyone alive for questioning." The last to arrive was Han So-jin, and everyone in the room felt her presence immediately. So-jin was a psychological warfare expert, someone who could break enemy agents without laying a finger on them. She understood fear better than anyone Park had ever met. More than that, she could create fear in people who thought they were fearless. So-jin had spent 10 years working with international anti-terrorism units. She had broken terrorist cells by getting inside their leaders' heads, learning what they loved, what they feared, what would make them betray everything they believed in. She could destroy someone's will to fight without firing a single shot. "General Park," she said, her voice calm and confident, "I've been reading about our targets. The Kreth should be interesting to work with." Park activated the wall screen, showing images of the Kreth Dominion. The aliens were large, muscular creatures with thick gray skin and razor-sharp claws. They stood nearly 8 feet tall and weighed as much as 3 humans. "This is what we're facing," Park said. "The Kreth Dominion. They're hunters who treat other intelligent species as prey. They've invaded a Villani colony and are systematically killing everyone they find." Kim studied the images. "How do they fight?" "Like animals," Park replied. "They rely on strength, claws, and pack tactics. They've never faced an opponent who uses strategy or technology effectively. Most species they encounter either run or try to fight them directly." Mina leaned forward. "What about their ships?" "Heavily armed, but not well defended. They're designed for intimidation, not ship-to-ship combat. The Kreth prefer to land and hunt their prey personally." "How many?" Bae asked. "Intelligence estimates around 3,000 Kreth warriors, plus support personnel. They've established hunting camps across the Villani colony." So-jin smiled. "Have they ever encountered psychological warfare?" "No, the Kreth don't understand fear as we do. They've always been the predators. They have no experience being hunted." Park changed the display to show the Villani colony. "This is Kepler 442b. The Villani built their cities in open areas surrounded by gardens and parks. They're completely defenseless. The Kreth are hunting them like animals." The 4 specialists studied the tactical situation in silence. They didn't ask about backup or additional resources. They had worked together before and knew what each person could do. "Timeline?" Kim asked. "You leave in 6 hours. The stealth ship Silent Thunder will get you there in 4 days. You'll have complete operational freedom once you arrive." Dr. Kang Young-soo entered the room carrying a tablet full of data. He was Earth's leading expert on alien biology and had spent weeks studying everything known about the Kreth. "I have intelligence on Kreth physiology and behavior," Dr. Kang said, connecting his tablet to the wall screen. They're stronger and faster than humans, but they have several weaknesses. The screen showed detailed anatomical drawings. Their bones are dense but brittle. A sharp impact in the right place can cause catastrophic fractures. Their nervous system is concentrated in 3 major clusters, making them vulnerable to specific types of damage. Minna studied the diagrams. What about their senses? Excellent hearing and smell, but poor night vision. They rely heavily on pack communication through vocal calls. Disrupt their ability to communicate and they become much less effective. Sojin took notes on her tablet. Social structure? Simple hierarchy based on physical dominance. The strongest leads, others follow. They've never developed complex military tactics because they've never needed them. Bei looked at the biological data. Medical capabilities? Basic. They can treat simple wounds but have no advanced medical knowledge. They've never needed it because they don't take casualties in their normal hunts. Park stood up. Questions? Kim spoke first. Rules of engagement? There are no rules. The Kreth showed no mercy to the Villani. You will show none to them. Mena nodded. Extraction plan? The Silent Thunder will remain in orbit. When you're finished, signal for pickup. Bei gathered his medical supplies. What about the Villani survivors? Save who you can, but remember, your primary mission is to eliminate the Kreth threat. The Federation needs to understand that attacking Federation worlds has consequences. Sojin was already planning her psychological campaign. Do we have access to Kreth communication systems? Dr. Khan will provide you with translation software and communication intercept equipment. You'll be able to listen to their conversations and, if needed, broadcast on their frequencies. The 4 specialists prepared to leave. They didn't look like the most dangerous humans on Earth. They looked like ordinary people you might pass on the street. That was part of what made them so effective. As they walked toward the exit, Park called after them. The Federation thinks we're sending 4 people because we don't understand the threat. Show them that we understand it better than they do. Kim paused at the door. General, what should we tell the Kreth when we meet them? Park's expression was cold. Tell them they made a mistake. They thought they were hunting helpless prey. Instead, they've attracted the attention of Earth's apex predators. 6 hours later, the Silent Thunder departed Earth's orbit carrying 4 humans who would change the galaxy's understanding of what it meant to be dangerous. The Kreth Dominion had no idea what was coming for them. They were about to learn why. Humans had earned their place in the Federation not through superior technology or ancient wisdom, but through an evolutionary mastery of violence that no other species could match. The Silent Thunder dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442b system. Kim Teo stood at the observation deck, watching the planet grow larger on the screen. Even from space he could see the orange glow of fires burning across the surface. Initial scan complete, the ship's AI announced, detecting 31 Kreth vessels in orbit and multiple energy signatures on the surface. Captain Lee Dong-sik, the ship's commander, joined the 4 specialists in the briefing room. The Kreth have established a standard hunting pattern, he reported. They've divided the planet into sectors and are systematically clearing each area. The main screen showed aerial footage of what had once been Villani cities. The beautiful gardens and peaceful buildings were now burning ruins. Bodies lay scattered in the streets like discarded toys. Choi Min studied the images without emotion. She had seen worse in the slums of Earth, but the scale was horrifying. How many survivors? Long-range sensors detect life signs in several underground shelters, Captain Lee replied. The Villani managed to hide some people before the full attack began. Bei Junki was already checking his medical supplies. How long before the Kreth find them? Our estimates suggest 2, maybe 3 days. Han So-jin activated her tablet and began studying Kreth communication intercepts. They're confident, she said after listening to several conversations. They're treating this like a vacation. Some are complaining that the hunting is too easy. Kim examined the tactical display. Landing zones? Captain Lee highlighted several areas. These locations are far enough from Kreth positions to avoid detection, but close enough for you to begin operations. The four specialists gathered their equipment. Kim carried simple weapons and tools, nothing that would attract attention. Minna's gear looked like camping supplies but contained everything she needed to track and eliminate targets. Bay's medical equipment could save lives or end them with equal efficiency. Sojin's psychological warfare tools were mostly electronic devices that looked harmless. "Remember," Captain Lee said as they prepared to depart, "the Silent Thunder will remain in stealth mode. We can monitor your progress but cannot provide direct support without revealing our position." Kim nodded. "Understood. We'll signal when the area is clear." The dropship descended through Kepler 442b's atmosphere under cover of darkness. The planet's surface was a nightmare landscape of destruction. Elegant Villani architecture lay in ruins, their peaceful gardens trampled and burned. The team landed in a forest preserve 20 kilometers from the nearest Kreth camp. As soon as they touched down, Minna began scanning for tracks and signs of enemy movement. "Kreth patrol came through here 6 hours ago," she reported, kneeling beside disturbed soil. 12 individuals moving in standard pack formation. Kim studied the forest around them. "Which direction?" Minna pointed southeast. "They're following the river system, probably heading toward one of the Villani shelter sites." The team moved through the forest with practiced silence. Their years of working together had created an almost telepathic understanding. They communicated with subtle hand signals and could coordinate complex actions without speaking. After 2 hours of careful movement, they reached the edge of a clearing where the Kreth had established a temporary camp. Kim counted 12 aliens around a large fire, their gray skin reflecting the orange flames. They were celebrating, passing around objects that looked like carved bones. Sojin activated her translation device and listened to their conversation. Her face grew cold as she understood what they were saying. "They're discussing which Villani body parts make the best trophies," she whispered to the others. "They're planning to raid the nearest shelter tomorrow at dawn." Bay pointed to movement at the edge of the camp. 3 Villani prisoners still alive. The prisoners were tied to trees at the camp's perimeter. They were injured and terrified, barely conscious. The Kreth were keeping them alive for sport, planning to hunt them in the morning. Kim made quick hand signals to his team. Minna circled to the left, Bay moved right, Sojin stayed with Kim to provide psychological support. They had done this kind of operation dozens of times on Earth. The attack began at exactly midnight. Min-a struck first, eliminating the 2 Kreth guards on the camp's perimeter. She used a technique she had learned hunting cartel members in Colombia, attacking from above using tree branches. The Kreth never saw her coming. Kim moved like a shadow, appearing and disappearing between the aliens before they could react. His first target was the pack leader, a massive Kreth covered in bone ornaments. Kim's blade found the nerve cluster. Dr. Kang had identified, dropping the alien instantly. The remaining Kreth tried to organize a defense, but they had never faced an enemy like humans. Bay appeared among them like death itself, his medical knowledge allowing him to disable opponents with surgical precision. In less than 3 minutes, all 12 Kreth were dead. The camp fell silent except for the crackling of the fire. Sojin moved to the Villani prisoners while Bay treated their injuries. The survivors were in shock, unable to understand what had just happened. "You're safe now," Bay said gently in the Villani language, using the translation device. "We're here to help." The eldest prisoner, a Villani female named Sira, looked at the 4 humans with confusion and fear. "Who are you? How did you defeat the Kreth so easily?" Kim was already examining the camp, looking for intelligence. "We're from Earth. The Federation sent us to help." "Only 4 of you?" Sarah asked. "But there are thousands of Kreth on our world." Minna was arranging the Kreth bodies in a specific pattern, following a plan Sojin had developed. 4 is enough," she said simply. Sojin began her psychological warfare campaign immediately. She accessed the Kreth communication network using equipment taken from the dead aliens. Her first broadcast was simple, the location of the attack and a description of how each Kreth had died. She spoke in perfect Kreth language, her voice calm and clinical. Attention Kreth hunters. Pack leader Grakmer and his 11 warriors have been eliminated at grid. Reference 247 to 158. Each death was precise and silent. The hunters have become the hunted. The response was immediate. Kreth voices filled the communication channels, confusion and anger mixing together. They had never experienced casualties like this. What should we do with the camp? Bei asked. Datso Jin smiled coldly. Leave it exactly as it is? The Kreth need to see what happens when they hunt Federation citizens. The team escorted the rescued Vellani to a safe location, then continued their mission. By dawn, they had eliminated 3 more Kreth patrols using different methods each time. Sojin documented each attack and broadcast the details to the entire Kreth force. The psychological impact was devastating. The Kreth had never encountered an enemy that studied their behavior, learned their weaknesses, and exploited them systematically. They were used to hunting terrified prey, not dealing with predators who turned the hunt around. Elder Telahonor, the leader of the hidden Vellani survivors, received the humans in an underground shelter carved into the roots of an ancient tree. She was old even by Vellani standards, her silver hair reaching to the floor. I have heard the Kreth communications, she said, her musical voice filled with wonder. They speak of shadow spirits and death that walks upright. They are afraid. Kim sat across from her, his expression respectful but focused. How many of your people are still alive? Perhaps 3,000 in shelters across the continent. But the Kreth grow more desperate each day. They will find us soon. Sojin looked up from her communication equipment. Not if we find them first. She had been monitoring Kreth transmissions for hours, learning their language patterns and command. Structure. They're reorganizing, she reported. The pack leaders are calling for a gathering at their main camp. How many? Mina asked. All of them. Every Kreth warrior on the planet. Bei checked his medical supplies. That's thousands of opponents. Kim studied the tactical situation. Most military commanders would call for retreat or reinforcements. Kim saw an opportunity. Good, he said. When they're all in one place, we won't have to hunt them scattered across the planet. Telahonor looked at the 4 humans with growing amazement. These small beings spoke of fighting thousands of Kreth warriors as if it were a simple task. You cannot seriously plan to attack their entire force. She said Datso-Jin was already working on her next psychological operation. Elder, we're not going to attack them. We're going to make them attack each other. The Kreth Dominion had conquered dozens of worlds using brute force and terror tactics. They had never faced an enemy that understood warfare as a science, that could turn their own strengths against them. They were about to learn that humans didn't just fight wars. They studied war the way other species studied art or philosophy. Every human conflict, every tactical innovation, every lesson learned in blood, had been passed down and refined over thousands of years. The Kreth thought they were apex predators. They were about to discover what it meant to face a species that had spent its entire evolutionary history learning how to kill more efficiently than anything else in the galaxy. Han Sojin sat in the abandoned Vellani Communication Center, surrounded by dozens of screens and electronic equipment. She had been working for 18 hours straight, learning the Kreth language better than some Kreth knew it themselves. Her fingers moved across the keyboard like a pianist playing a deadly song. Broadcasting in 3 minutes, she announced to her teammates. Kim Teo crouched on a hill overlooking the main Kreth camp. Through his scope, he could see thousands of gray-skinned warriors gathered around massive fires. They had called this meeting to discuss the strange deaths that had been plaguing their hunting parties. Target confirmed, Kim whispered into his communication device. Pack leader Thurvik is in the center circle wearing the red bone crown. Choi Min-ah lay hidden in the tall grass 50 meters from the camp's edge. She had been watching Kreth movement patterns for hours, noting which guards were alert and which were getting careless. Perimeter security is weakening. They're too focused on the meeting. Bei Junki waited in the forest with his medical equipment, but tonight he wasn't planning to save lives. He had prepared special tools based on Dr. Kong's biological data. About Kreth nervous systems. Sojin's voice came through their earpieces, beginning psychological operation now. She activated the Kreth communication system and began broadcasting on their main frequency. Her voice was calm, almost friendly, as she spoke in perfect Kreth language. Attention warriors of the Kreth Dominion. This is your new teacher. You have been hunting on this world for 7 days. In that time, you have lost 43 warriors. To an enemy you cannot see, cannot catch, and cannot understand. In the camp below, Kim watched as thousands of Kreth heads turned toward their communication devices. Confusion spread through the crowd like ripples in water. So Jin continued her broadcast. You call yourselves hunters, but you hunt helpless prey. We are showing you what it means to be hunted by true predators. Each of your dead warriors was studied, tracked, and eliminated using methods your species has never imagined. She began describing each attack in detail. The Kreth at the river camp killed silently in their sleep. The patrol that disappeared. Near the crystal caves, their bodies found days later arranged in impossible positions. The guards who died of what looked like natural causes but were actually precise nerve strikes. Your pack leader Grakmor was the strongest among you, Sojin sighed, her voice becoming colder. He died in 12 seconds. He never saw his killer's face. The Kreth camp erupted in angry roars and confused shouting. Warriors grabbed their weapons and looked around wildly, as if expecting humans to appear from the shadows. Kim smiled grimly. The psychological pressure was working exactly as planned. So Jin switched to a different approach. We know everything about you. We know that pack leader Thurvik fears deep water because he nearly drowned as a child. We know that sub-leader Graxon hides an old wound on his left arm that never healed properly. We know which of you are brave and which are cowards. This was a lie, but it was a believable lie. Sojin had studied Kreth behavior patterns and was making educated guesses based on their social structure. The important thing was making them believe humans knew their secrets. The effect was immediate. Kreth warriors began looking at each other with suspicion. How could the mysterious enemy know such personal details? We have been watching you, Sojin continued. Learning your habits, your fears, your weaknesses. Tonight, 3 more of you will die. We have already chosen which ones. She ended the broadcast, leaving the Kreth camp in chaos. Kim watched through his scope as the aliens argued among themselves. Some wanted to attack immediately, others demanded better security. The unity of the pack was breaking down. Phase 2. Kim whispered. Min-A began moving through the tall grass toward the camp's perimeter. She carried a special package prepared by Bay, something that would send a very specific message. 20 minutes later, she had placed her surprise and retreated to a safe distance. Kim lined up his shot on pack leader Thurvik, waiting for the perfect moment. So Jin's voice came through their earpieces again. Now, Kim's shot was perfect. The specially designed bullet struck pack leader Thurvik in exactly the spot Dr. Kong had identified as most vulnerable. The massive Kreth leader collapsed instantly, his nervous system shutting down. At the same moment, Mina's package exploded at the camp's edge. It wasn't a large explosion, just enough to create confusion and panic. But hidden in the blast was something that would terrify the Kreth more than any weapon. As the smoke cleared, the Kreth saw a message written in their own language using materials from their own camp. The words glowed with chemical fire. We are inside your defenses. We are among you. No one is safe. The camp dissolved into complete chaos. Kreth warriors ran in all directions, some firing weapons randomly into the darkness. Others tried to form defensive circles, but they didn't know where to point their weapons. So Jin began broadcasting again, but this time she was imitating the voice of a dead Kreth leader. Brothers, I speak to you from beyond death. The shadow spirits are real. They walk among us unseen. They know our thoughts before we think them. The psychological impact was devastating. The Kreth had never experienced supernatural fear before. They were predators who relied on physical strength and pack tactics. They had no defense against an enemy that attacked their minds. Kim moved to a new position and eliminated 2 more Kreth leaders with precise shots. Each death looked different. One appeared to be an accident, another seemed like the result of an equipment malfunction. The message was clear: death could come from anywhere, at any time. They emerged from the forest carrying what looked like a wounded Kreth warrior. But as he got closer to the camp, the wounded alien suddenly stood up and began attacking other Kreth with impossible strength and speed. It was actually an android created using Kreth body parts and advanced Earth technology. The psychological effect was perfect. The Kreth saw one of their own killing others with inhuman precision. "Shapeshifters!" screamed a Kreth warrior. "The enemy can wear our faces." Panic spread through the camp like wildfire. Kreth began attacking each other, unable to tell friend from foe. Sojin's psychological campaign had achieved something impossible. She had turned the strongest pack hunters in the galaxy against themselves. From her position in the communication center, Sojin watched the chaos through stolen Kreth security cameras. She began her final broadcast of the night. "Warriors of the Kreth Dominion, you came to this world to hunt. Now you understand what it means to be prey, but this is only the beginning. Tomorrow we will show you new forms of death. Tomorrow, you will learn why humans are feared across the galaxy." Another lie, but a convincing one. Humans were actually newcomers to galactic politics, but the Kreth didn't know that. She continued. "You have 2 choices. Leave this world immediately, or face the full attention of Earth's war machine. We have been studying warfare for 10,000 years. We have perfected the art of killing in ways your species cannot imagine." The broadcast ended, leaving the Kreth camp in ruins. Half their leadership was dead, their warriors were terrified and confused, and their entire command structure had collapsed. Kim rejoined his team at their base camp, where Telehonor and several other Vellani survivors waited nervously. "The Kreth communications have gone silent," Telehonor reported. "Their ships in orbit are moving into defensive positions." Sojin checked her equipment. "They're trying to re-establish command and control? It won't work. I've planted false messages in their communication system. Every order they try to send will be contradicted by another order 5 minutes later." Mina was cleaning her weapons and preparing for the next phase. "How long before they break completely?" Kim studied the tactical situation. "The pack structure is failing. Without strong leadership, they'll either flee or turn on each other. Either way, they're no longer effective as a fighting force." Bay was treating injured Vellani survivors, but his mind was on the larger battle. "What about their ships?" Sojin smiled coldly. "I've been accessing their fleet communications too. The ship captains are getting conflicting orders from the surface. Some are being told to prepare for evacuation, others to begin orbital bombardment. They don't know which orders are real." The 4 humans had achieved something that seasoned military commanders would have thought impossible. In less than 24 hours, they had broken the command structure of an entire invasion force without fighting a single major battle. The Kreth Dominion was learning that humans didn't just wage war, they studied it as a science and applied it with surgical precision. Every human conflict throughout history had contributed to this moment. Every tactical innovation had been preserved and refined. The galaxy's most feared predators were discovering what it meant to face Earth's apex predators. The orbital sensors aboard the Kreth flagship Blood Harvest detected the new ships long before they entered the system. War Captain Malachar studied the readings with growing confusion. 31 Federation vessels approaching at maximum speed, led by a massive dreadnought he didn't recognize. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the lead ship is broadcasting Federation identification codes. It's flying the banner of the Centauri Republic." Malachar snarled, showing rows of sharp teeth. The Kreth had been monitoring Federation communications and knew their military was spread too thin to respond to the Vellani colony. "This fleet should not exist. How long until they arrive?" he demanded. 6 hours, sir. "But we're receiving a priority transmission from the surface. The war leader wants to speak with you immediately." The transmission from the planet's surface was chaos. Grakthar, the expedition's supreme commander, appeared on screen covered in mud and blood. Behind him, Malachar could see burning wreckage and wounded Kreth warriors. "Malachar?" Grakthar roared. "We are under attack by ... something. My forces are being systematically destroyed by an enemy I cannot see or understand." "What do you mean?" Malachar asked. "The Villani have no military." "Not the Villani, you fool. Something else. They call themselves humans. Only 4 of them, but they fight like demons. They know things about us that should be impossible. They speak our language, they know our weaknesses, they can predict our movements." Malachar studied his old friend's face. Grakthar was the strongest warrior he had ever known, a veteran of 50 hunting expeditions. To see him reduced to this state was deeply disturbing. "4 individuals cannot threaten our entire expedition," Malachar said. "Tell that to the 47 pack leaders they've killed in 2 days," Grakthar snapped. "They don't fight like any species we've encountered. They use weapons, tactics, and psychological warfare that makes our warriors flee in terror." The transmission cut to static, then returned showing a different view. Malachar could see a Kreth camp that looked like a battlefield. Bodies lay scattered everywhere, but not from any weapons he recognized. "They left this message," Grakthar said, pointing to writing carved into a tree. The words were in Kreth language. "You wanted to hunt. Now you know what it feels like to be prey." Before Malachar could respond, his communication officer called out urgently, "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the approaching Federation fleet. They're requesting to speak with our commanding officer." "Put it through," Malachar ordered. The screen changed to show Admiral Telvash of the Centauri Republic, a being Malachar recognized from intelligence reports. The Admiral's blue skin looked almost gray with anger. "War Captain Malachar," Telvash said formally. "I am Admiral Telvash, commanding Federation Task Force 7. You are in violation of 17 interstellar treaties. Your forces have attacked a peaceful Federation colony without provocation." Malachar laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the ship's bridge. "Admiral, your Federation is weak. Your military cannot protect your own worlds. We go where we please and take what we want." "Not anymore," Telvash replied. "As of 4 hours ago, the Federation has authorized the use of our newest members' military specialists. Earth has taken responsibility for this situation." "Earth?" Malachar searched his memory. "That primitive world that joined your Federation. Recently, their weapons are centuries behind ours." Admiral Telvash's expression was grim. "War Captain, you clearly don't understand what you're dealing with. Earth didn't send weapons. They sent something much more dangerous." The connection ended, leaving Malachar confused and angry. How could 4 individuals from a primitive world threaten his entire expedition? His answer came an hour later when Han So-jin's voice filled every Kreth communication channel simultaneously. "Attention Kreth Dominion forces," she said in perfect Kreth language. "This is your final lesson in human warfare. You have been studying us for 2 days. Now we will show you what we have learned about you." Every screen on every Kreth ship displayed the same image, detailed maps of their fleet positions, complete with ship names, crew numbers, and tactical capabilities. "Flagship Blood Harvest," So-jin continued, commanded by War Captain Malachar. "Crew of 847, primary weapons, plasma cannons, and missile arrays. Weakness: unshielded reactor core accessible through maintenance shaft 7 Alpha." Malachar stared at the screen in shock. How could the humans know such detailed information about his ship? The broadcast continued, describing every Kreth vessel with impossible accuracy. Ship layouts, crew names, equipment specifications, even personal details about individual officers. This information was gathered using human intelligence techniques. So-jin explained, "Your communication security is primitive. Your computer systems are easily penetrated. Your operational security does not exist." From the planet's surface, Kim Taeho's voice joined the broadcast. He spoke calmly, as if discussing the weather. "War Captain Malachar, your ground forces are finished. In the past 6 hours, we have eliminated your remaining pack leaders and destroyed your command structure. Your warriors are scattered, leaderless, and terrified. Malakar tried to contact Grakthar but received only static. Choi Minna's voice came next. Your hunting camps have been neutralized. Your supply lines are cut. Your warriors are hungry, isolated, and being picked off one by one. Finally, Beijunki spoke. His voice was gentle, almost kind. To any Kreth who wish to surrender, we offer medical treatment and safe passage off-world. We are not monsters like you. We do not hunt for pleasure. The psychological impact was devastating. The Kreth had never encountered an enemy that combined detailed intelligence, superior tactics, and what seemed like supernatural abilities. Sojin's voice returned for the final part of the broadcast. War Captain Malakar, you have 1 hour to begin evacuation of all Kreth forces from this system. If you refuse, you will discover why Earth was accepted into the Federation despite our primitive technology. Human warfare is not about superior weapons, she continued. It is about superior thinking. We have studied conflict for thousands of years. We understand psychology, strategy, and the art of victory through minimal force. The broadcast ended with a single image, Earth's blue and white surface as seen from space, with text in multiple languages including Kreth, humanity, we protect our friends. Malakar stood on his bridge, surrounded by officers who looked as confused and frightened as he felt. His ground forces were in chaos, his ships were exposed and vulnerable, and 4 individuals from a supposedly primitive world had systematically destroyed his expedition's effectiveness. His tactical officer approached carefully. Sir, we're receiving reports from other ships. Several captains are requesting permission to begin evacuation procedures. Evacuation, Malakar roared. We are the Kreth Dominion. We do not flee from 4 aliens. But even as he spoke, he knew. The situation was hopeless. The humans had demonstrated abilities that seemed impossible. They had penetrated Kreth security, learned their language, and turned their own tactics against them. Worse, the Federation fleet was approaching rapidly. Admiral Telvash had made it clear that the Federation was taking this incident seriously. New transmission came from the surface. It was Grakthar, but barely recognizable. The great warrior looked defeated, his armor torn and his spirit broken. Malakar, he said quietly, we must leave this place. These humans, they are not like anything we have encountered. They do not fight for territory or resources. They fight for their friends, and they fight with a precision that makes our greatest warriors look like children. What happened to your forces? Malakar asked. Gone, scattered or dead. The humans divided us, confused us, and destroyed our will to fight. They never faced us in open battle, but they defeated us completely. Malakar looked around his bridge at officers who had served with him for years. These were veterans of dozens of successful hunts, warriors who had never known defeat. Now they looked scared. Sir, his communication officer reported, the Federation fleet will be in weapons range in 20 minutes. Admiral Telvash is demanding an immediate response to the human ultimatum. Malakar realized he had 2 choices: fight a Federation fleet while his ground forces were in chaos, or admit that 4 humans had accomplished what no military force had ever done. They had defeated the Kreth Dominion without firing a single ship-to-ship weapon, the galaxy's most feared predators. Had learned a harsh lesson: there was always a bigger predator. And sometimes that predator was small, clever, and came from a blue world that most species still considered primitive. The humans had shown the Kreth something they had never experienced before, what it meant to be outmatched not by strength, but by intelligence. Admiral Telvash stood on the bridge of the Federation Dreadnought Unity's Promise, watching his tactical displays with growing amazement. His fleet of 31 ships had arrived, expecting to find a desperate battle between Kreth invaders and human defenders. Instead, they found something impossible. Sir, his intelligence officer reported, we're monitoring Kreth communications. Their ground forces appear to be in complete disarray. Multiple pack leaders are requesting immediate evacuation. What about the human team? Telvash asked. still operating on the surface. 4 individuals, as reported. But sir, the officer hesitated. The tactical situation doesn't make sense. According to our sensors, the Kreth had over 3,000 warriors. How can 4 humans have defeated them? Telvash had been asking himself the same question for hours. When the Federation Council authorized Earth's response, most members expected it to be a symbolic gesture. No one believed 4 individuals could meaningfully impact such a large invasion. Open a channel to the surface, he ordered. I want to speak with the human team leader. The response came quickly. Kim Tao's voice was calm and professional, as if he were reporting on a training exercise rather than a major military operation. Admiral. Telvash, this is Kim Tao of Earth Special Operations. We have the situation under control. Under control? Telvash stared at his tactical display showing thousands of Kreth positions. Specialist Kim, our sensors show the Kreth still have significant forces. Yes, sir, but they're no longer combat effective. We've eliminated their command structure and broken their morale. Most are hiding or trying to reach evacuation points. Admiral Telvash had commanded Federation fleets for 40 years. He had fought in 17 major conflicts and understood military tactics better than most beings in the galaxy. What the humans claimed should be impossible. Specialist, I'm looking at sensor data showing Kreth positions across 3 continents. How can 4 individuals neutralize thousands of enemy warriors? Kim's response was matter of fact. Admiral, we didn't fight thousands of warriors. We eliminated key leaders and used psychological warfare to make the rest eliminate themselves. It's a standard human tactic. Standard human tactic? Telvash exchanged glances with his staff. No other Federation species had ever developed such approaches to warfare. We're coming down to assess the situation directly, Telvash announced. 2 hours later, Telvash's shuttle landed near the ruins of what had been the Kreth's main base. The scene was unlike anything he had ever witnessed. Hundreds of Kreth warriors sat in organized groups, their weapons piled nearby, waiting quietly for evacuation. They weren't prisoners in the traditional sense. They were simply broken Beijing Qi. Met the Admiral's party at the landing site. He wore simple clothes and carried a medical bag, looking more like a doctor than a military specialist. Admiral, Bay said politely. Welcome to Kepler 442b. I'm treating wounded on both sides. The Kreth have some injuries, but mostly they're suffering from psychological trauma. Psychological trauma? Telvash's aide, Commander Zextel, sounded confused. The Kreth are apex predators. They don't experience trauma? Bay's smile was gentle but disturbing. Commander, every species experiences trauma when their fundamental understanding of reality is destroyed. The Kreth believed they were the ultimate hunters. We showed them they were wrong. As they walked through the area, Telvash saw groups of Villani survivors emerging from their hiding places. Elder Tella Honor approached the group, her relief obvious. Admiral. Telvash, she said in her musical voice, these humans have saved our people. But the methods... She paused, searching for words. We have never seen warfare like this. What do you mean? Telvash asked. Tella Honor gestured toward a group of Kreth warriors sitting motionless near a destroyed camp. They were the fiercest pack on our world. Yesterday they were hunting my people for sport. Today they refused to even hold weapons. The humans didn't just defeat them, they broke something inside them. Han So-jin approached from the communication center she had established. Admiral, I've been monitoring galactic news feeds. Word of this operation is already spreading through Federation space. What kind of word? Other species are asking questions about human military capabilities. The Andromedans want to know how we achieve such results with minimal resources. The Vegan Defense Alliance is requesting military cooperation agreements. Telvash felt a chill run through his body. The political implications were staggering. If other species believed humans possessed some kind of superweapon or advanced military technology... Specialist Han, what exactly did you do here? So-jin activated her tablet showing detailed psychological profiles and tactical analyses. We studied the enemy, identified their weaknesses, and exploited them systematically. Standard human psychological warfare combined with precision elimination of key targets. She spoke as if discussing an academic paper rather than a military campaign that had destroyed an entire invasion force. Choi. Minna emerged from the forest carrying equipment that looked deceptively simple. Telvash recognized some items as basic survival gear, but others were completely unfamiliar. Admiral, Minna said, we've completed the area sweep. No remaining Kreth combat units. The few survivors are gathered at the evacuation points. How many casualties? Telvash asked. Kreth dead, 47. Kreth wounded, 12. Human casualties, 0. Villani rescued, 2,847. The numbers were impossible. No military force in Federation history had achieved such results against a numerically superior enemy. Kim Teo joined the group, and Telvash found himself face-to-face with the team leader who had accomplished the impossible. Kim looked like any average human, medium height, ordinary features, quiet demeanor. Nothing about him suggested he was one of the most dangerous individuals in the galaxy. Specialist Kim, Telvash said carefully, I need to understand what happened here. My government will require a full report. Kim nodded. Of course, Admiral. We eliminated enemy leadership through precision targeting, disrupted their communication and command systems, and used psychological warfare to destroy their combat effectiveness. But how? The Kreth have conquered dozens of worlds. They've, never been defeated before. Admiral, Kim replied, the Kreth had never faced an opponent that studied warfare as a science. They relied on physical strength and simple pack tactics. Those approaches work against species that fight conventionally. And humans don't fight conventionally? Kim's expression was matter-of-fact. Humans have been perfecting the art of warfare for thousands of years. Every conflict, every tactical innovation, every lesson learned has been preserved and refined. We don't just fight wars, we study them. Telvash realized he was witnessing something that would change galactic politics forever. The Federation had always relied on superior technology and overwhelming numbers to maintain peace. These humans had achieved decisive victory through superior thinking. What happens now? He asked. So Jin checked her communication equipment. War Captain Malachar has agreed to complete evacuation within 6 hours. The Kreth Dominion is withdrawing. All forces from Federation space. They're abandoning their expansion entirely? Yes, sir. Our psychological campaign convinced them that humans represent a threat they can't counter. They believe we have military capabilities far beyond what we actually possess. Kim added, the Kreth respect strength above all else. We demonstrated that human strength comes from intelligence, not physical power. They won't challenge Federation worlds again. As Telvash prepared his report for the Federation Council, he struggled to find words for what he had witnessed. 4. Humans had neutralized a major galactic threat without using advanced weapons or large military forces. They had simply outhought their enemies. Commander Zextel approached nervously. Admiral, I've been speaking with the rescued Villani. They describe the humans as ... disturbing. How so? They say the humans showed no emotion while killing. They treated warfare like solving a mathematical problem. The Villani are grateful, but they're also frightened. Telvash understood the concern. The Federation was built on cooperation between peaceful species. The idea that one member possessed such deadly capabilities was unsettling. But as he watched the 4 humans calmly organizing the Kreth evacuation, treating wounded enemies with the same care they showed rescued Villani, he realized something important. These weren't monsters. They were professionals who had inherited thousands of years of human military evolution. They applied violence with surgical precision to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The galaxy had just learned that Earth's membership in the Federation came with unexpected benefits. When other species cried for help, Earth didn't send peacekeepers or diplomats. Earth sent specialists who understood that sometimes the only way to protect peace was to be very, very good at war. War Captain Malachar stood in the center of his flagship's bridge. Staring at the communication request that had arrived an hour ago, the humans wanted to meet. Not Admiral Telvash or the Federation fleet commanders, but the 4 individuals who had destroyed his entire expedition. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "their shuttle is requesting permission to dock." Malakar's claws scraped against the metal railing. In 40 years of military service, he had never surrendered to anyone. The Kreth Dominion didn't negotiate with prey species, but these humans had changed everything. "Grant permission," he ordered. 20 minutes later, Malakar found himself in his own conference room, facing 4 beings who looked completely ordinary. Kim Teo sat across from him, calm and professional. Han So-jin studied a tablet with detailed information about Kreth ship systems. Choi Min-ah examined the room's layout with the eye of someone who automatically identified escape routes and defensive positions. Junki had actually brought medical supplies, as if he expected to treat wounded during a surrender negotiation. "War Captain Malakar," Kim said politely, "thank you for agreeing to this meeting." Malakar studied these 4 humans who had accomplished the impossible. They showed no signs of triumph or arrogance. They treated this meeting like a routine business discussion. "You destroyed my expedition," Malakar said bluntly. 3,000 of the finest warriors in the Dominion, defeated by 4 individuals from a primitive world. "We prefer to think of it as problem-solving," Kim replied. "You had a problem. You wanted to hunt intelligent prey. We solved it by changing the dynamic." "How?" The question burst out of Malakar before he could stop it. "How did you know so?" "Much about us? How did you penetrate our security? How did you turn our greatest strengths against us?" So-jin looked up from her tablet. "War Captain, may I ask how many species the Kreth Dominion has conquered?" 47 worlds, Malakar answered proudly. "And in all those conquests, did you ever face an enemy that studied you before attacking?" Malakar thought about it. "No. Most species either fled or tried to fight us directly." "That's why you lost," So-jin said simply. "Humans always study our enemies. We learn their language, their culture, their psychology, their weaknesses. We don't attack until we understand everything about them." She activated her tablet, showing detailed files on Kreth biology, social structure, and military tactics. "We spent weeks analyzing every piece of information available about your species. We identified 17 major psychological vulnerabilities and 34 tactical weaknesses." Malakar stared at the data. It was more detailed than some of his own military intelligence reports. "You've been monitoring our communications for months," he realized. "Since the Kreth Dominion first appeared on Federation sensors," Kim confirmed. "Earth intelligence has been tracking your expansion patterns and studying your methods." "Why?" Bay spoke for the first time, his voice gentle. "Because Earth values its friends? When we joined the Federation, we made a commitment to protect peaceful species. The Kreth represented a threat to that peace." Malakar felt something he had never experienced before, the realization that his species had been outmaneuvered by a superior opponent. "What do you want from me?" Kim placed a datapad on the table. "Complete withdrawal of all Kreth forces from Federation space. Permanent cessation of hunting expeditions against Federation worlds. Release of all prisoners taken during your expansion. And if I refuse?" So-jin smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. "War Captain, you've seen what 4 humans can accomplish. Earth has a population of 8 billion. Our military has been studying warfare for thousands of years. We have weapons, tactics, and strategies that your species hasn't imagined." She was bluffing, but it was a convincing bluff. The Kreth had no way to know that these 4 individuals represented Earth's most elite specialists, not typical human military capability. "You would wage war against the entire Kreth Dominion?" Malakar asked. "We would end the Kreth Dominion," Kim replied calmly. "Not through massive battles or orbital bombardments. We would do exactly what we did here, systematic elimination of leadership, disruption of communication, psychological warfare designed to break your species' will to fight." Min-ah leaned forward. "War Captain, how many of your warriors on the surface were actually killed by direct combat?" Malakar thought about the reports he had received. Perhaps 24. The rest died from accidents, equipment failures, friendly fire incidents, and suicide, Sojin added. We made your own people afraid of shadows. We turned your hunters into prey. We could do the same thing to every Kreth world. The psychological impact was devastating. Malachar realized that these humans had defeated his expedition without really fighting it. They had simply made his warriors too frightened and confused to be effective. What guarantee do I have that Earth won't attack Kreth worlds anyway? He asked. Bay opened his medical bag and pulled out several data chips. These contain medical information that could help your species. Treatments for diseases we observed in your wounded, improved surgical techniques, psychological therapy methods. For your traumatized warriors. Malachar stared at the chips. You're giving us medical aid? After we tried to exterminate the Villani? The Villani are safe, they said. Your wounded warriors need treatment. Humans don't kill unnecessarily. We fight to protect, not to destroy. This confused Malachar more than anything else. The Kreth understood strength and brutality. They didn't understand enemies who showed mercy to defeated opponents. Kim activated a holographic display showing the current positions of both fleets. War Captain, you have two choices. Accept our terms and withdraw peacefully, or face the full attention of Earth's military capabilities. How do I know you're not bluffing about Earth's power? Sojin's tablet chimed with an incoming message. She read it and smiled. War Captain, Earth Command has just authorized me to share some information with you. The holographic display changed. To show images from Earth, military training facilities, advanced laboratories, orbital installations, fleets of ships that looked nothing like the primitive vessels most Federation species associated with humanity. Earth has been preparing for galactic warfare since we achieved faster-than-light travel, Sojin explained. We studied every major conflict in Federation history. We analyzed the tactics and weapons of all known hostile species. We prepared for threats that other Federation members couldn't imagine. More images appeared, human soldiers training in environments that simulated dozens of different alien worlds. Weapons testing facilities, strategic planning centers where military analysts studied every possible conflict scenario. The four of us represent one small part of Earth's military capability, Kim added. We're specialists in psychological warfare and precision operations. Earth has specialists in orbital combat, planetary assault, cyber warfare, biological weapons, and methods of conflict that have never been used in this galaxy. It was mostly true, though Earth's actual military was much smaller than the images suggested. But the psychological effect on Malachar was exactly what the humans intended. You're saying that if I don't accept your terms, Earth will destroy the Kreth Dominion completely? We're saying that continued aggression against Federation worlds will result in consequences your species cannot survive. Kim replied. Malachar looked around the conference room at his own officers, who had been listening to the entire conversation. Their expressions showed the same fear and confusion that had infected his ground forces. The humans had done it again. Without firing a shot at his ship, they had made his crew doubt their own strength. I accept your terms, Malachar said quietly. Kim nodded and stood up. Withdrawal should begin immediately. Federation observers will monitor the evacuation too. Ensure compliance. As the humans prepared to leave, Malachar called after them. Why did you show mercy? Your species could have eliminated us completely. Kim paused at the door. War Captain, humans learned long ago that the best victory is one that doesn't require destroying your enemy. We broke your expedition's will to fight. That's more effective than killing everyone. After the humans left, Malachar sat alone in his conference room, trying to understand what had happened. His species had encountered their first truly superior opponent, and that opponent had chosen to show mercy rather than complete destruction. The Kreth Dominion's expansion was over. Not because they had been defeated in glorious battle, but because four humans had convinced them they were no longer the apex predators they had always believed themselves to be. The galaxy had a new understanding of what it meant to be dangerous. The Federation Council chamber on Proxima Station had never been so quiet. Representatives from 43 worlds sat in stunned silence as Admiral Telvash concluded his report on the Kepler 442b incident. The holographic displays showed impossible statistics, an entire Kreth invasion force neutralized by 4 individuals in less than 72 hours. Ambassador Lee Nari sat in the human delegation area, watching the other species process what they had just learned. Earth had been a Federation member for only 5 years, and most beings still thought of humans as primitive newcomers. That perception had just changed. Forever, Commander Veltar of the Centaur Republic was the first to speak. Admiral Telvash, these numbers cannot be accurate. 4 individuals cannot defeat 3,000 trained warriors. I witnessed it personally, Telvash replied. The humans didn't defeat the Kreth through superior firepower or technology. They used tactics that our military academies don't even teach. The Andromedian delegate Zarathal leaned forward. What kind of tactics? Psychological warfare, precision elimination of leadership, intelligence gathering, and something they called making the enemy defeat themselves, Telvash explained. The humans turned the Kreth's own strengths against them. Murmurs filled the chamber. Most Federation species had achieved interstellar travel after establishing peace within their own societies. The concept of studying warfare as a science was foreign to them. High Chancellor Korvex of the Vegan Alliance stood up. Ambassador Lee, the Council requires clarification. Does Earth possess military capabilities that were not disclosed during your membership application? Lee Nari rose gracefully. High Chancellor, Earth disclosed all relevant military capabilities. We have a small space fleet and defensive forces appropriate for our size. What we didn't mention was that humans have been studying warfare for thousands of years. Studying warfare? The Centauri delegate sounded confused. Every human conflict throughout our history has been analyzed, documented, and absorbed into our collective understanding of violence, Lee Nari explained. We don't just fight wars, we learn from them. She activated a holographic display showing human military history. Images of ancient battles, medieval sieges, modern conflicts, and theoretical future warfare scenarios filled the chamber. Humans achieved interstellar travel while still perfecting the art of war, she continued. Most species in the Federation developed beyond warfare before reaching the stars. We brought our military evolution with us. The implications hit the chamber like a shock wave. Dr. Zentar of the Rigel Science Collective spoke nervously. Ambassador, are you saying that humanity is inherently more violent than other Federation species? No, Doctor. We're saying that humans understand violence better than most species. We can apply it with surgical precision when necessary, but we prefer not to use it at all. Elder Silowen of the Altair Confederacy raised a trembling hand. The 4 humans who eliminated the Kreth threat, are they typical of your military? Lee Nari smiled. Elder, those 4 individuals are among our most specialized operatives. But yes, their approach represents standard human military thinking. The chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. If those 4 humans represented standard capabilities, what could Earth's entire military accomplish? High Chancellor Korvex activated his communication device. I have received reports from across Federation space. Other species are requesting information about human military cooperation. The Tau Ceti Defense Union wants to hire human military advisors. The Sirius Trade Alliance is offering economic partnerships in exchange for security guarantees. The political situation is changing rapidly, added Commander Veltar. Species that ignored Earth 5 years ago are now requesting diplomatic meetings. Ambassador Lee Nari had expected this reaction. Earth's military analysts had predicted that a successful demonstration of human capabilities would dramatically alter galactic politics. The Federation need not fear Earth's military capabilities, she announced. We joined the Federation because we believe in peaceful cooperation between species. Our military exists to protect that peace. What about species outside the Federation? Asked the Andromedian delegate. Will Earth use these capabilities against potential threats? Before Lee Nari could answer, her communication device chimed with an urgent message. She read it quickly, then looked up at the assembled delegates. High Chancellor, I have just received a priority transmission from Earth Military Command. The hegemony of Sarkoth has launched attacks on 3 Federation border worlds in the past 6 hours. The chamber erupted in alarmed voices. The Sarkoth hegemony was a militaristic empire that had been testing Federation defenses for months. Their forces were well-equipped and ruthless. Our response fleets are still en route to the affected systems. High Chancellor Korvac said grimly. The earliest arrival time is 4 days. Linari stood again. High Chancellor, Earth offers to handle the situation. The chamber fell silent.